So, welcome back to the Tool Shed. I want to share with you a powerful tool. Some of my tools are, they're not meant to be powerful. You don't want to like a jackhammer, right? When you got to turn a screw. Nothing all that powerful about a screwdriver, but sometimes you need a jackhammer to crack open the concrete. Well, this is a jackhammer of a tool. So I know I got some of your attention. It's not my tool. It comes from Dr. Viktor Frankl, as you know, my teacher and mentor. And this got him through, one of the things that got him through the Holocaust. If it works in the Holocaust, it works whatever you're enduring. And that's really what this is about. This is a tool that you use when you're enduring a burden. That's why it's called Bear Your Burden. What's a burden? A burden is something you put on the back of a pack animal like a donkey, right? To a burden, it weighs you down. And we live in a culture that really says ease is the ideal. Maybe it's not realistic, but it's the ideal. What Viktor Frankl says, and my work as a logotherapist, meaning-centered therapy, is built around this idea that maybe our ideals inverted. Maybe the ideal isn't to be burdenless, but burdened, to be laden with burdens, not to go out of our way and looking for opportunities to beat ourselves up or make our lives difficult or add suffering. That's just masochism. No. But when those burdens come, and if you're like me, afternoon of life, second half of life, or even not earlier, you're dealing with burdens. If you have any care of responsibility, and a person like this in my tool shed has a sense of responsibility, you want burdens. It's why you get married. It's why you have kids. It's why you get a job and you have a career, and all these obligations are not easy. That's the point. We're not here for a life of ease. We're here for a life of burdens. Again, don't go looking for them, but if you don't have them, or if you don't have meaning, maybe you need to add more, not less burden to your life. I have guys sitting in here oftentimes, and oftentimes they're single, and oftentimes they're 40s and 50s, and oftentimes they don't have enough meaning. And what we talk about is loading up their back with burdens. In Israel, where I used to live, you see lots of arches, and arches start to fall apart, 2,000-year-old arches from the Roman period. And how do they strengthen arches? They put more weight on the top because then it tightens up the arch, and that, I forgot what it's called, the founding stone or whatever, it tightens it up. They put more weight on it. That strengthens it. And that's what Viktor Frankl was saying. What did he say? When a man finds that his destiny to suffer, his unique opportunity lies in the way he bears his burden. If you can discharge suffering, then get it out of your life. But there comes a point when you can't. And the goal then isn't ease. It's to be able to bear your burden. Isn't it interesting? The word patience comes from Latin, pati. And what does pati mean? Suffering. Suffering. To have patience when you're with your kid, your spouse, and they're struggling. I get into trouble more often than not when I try and fix the problem. That's not what Ariella usually is asking me, unless it has to do with her checkbook. It usually has to do with, can I hold the weight of this thing? Can I have patience? Can I bear this burden? As an act of love, it changes the way I serve my clients who are unloading absolutely difficult, painful things. I am so honored to bear that burden, and that's my job. That's my work. I don't fix their burdens. You come work with me. I'm not going to, sprinkle magic rabbi dust on your head. I'm going to sit there and bear witness, hold that pain. Of course, we deal with things that aren't just painful, but that's the point. We know how to deal with things that aren't painful, but our society tells us to get rid of, discharge the painful things. And what Viktor Frankl said is patience, hold the suffering, compassion. You know what compassion means? It doesn't mean, oh, I feel so bad for you. Oh, right? Emoting. No. Calm means with, passion, same root as patience, pati, suffering. I'll be with you in your suffering. That is the act of compassion. I don't want, when I'm in a hole out in the woods, this is Brene Brown's teaching, I don't want somebody walking up to that hole, looking down and say, hey, B, oh, I feel bad for you down there. No, I want you to fucking jump in this hole and climb out of here. Well, actually, jump in with a ladder. But jump in. Get down in there. Hold this space with me, brother, sister. Can you hold this pain? And if you can, then you are my brother and sister. And if you can't, I don't care if you're biologically related to me. That's not a brother and sister. A true brother, a true sister is somebody who can hold the pain, to hold the space, to bear the ugliness of the fucking shadows that you're dealing with or the darkness that you're enduring, and continue to show up and continue to be there. Dostoevsky, obviously famous philosopher, said once, "There's only one thing that I dread, not to be worthy of my sufferings." And Frankl goes on and says, "These words frequently came to my mind after I became acquainted with those martyrs whose behavior in the concentration camps, whose suffering and death bore witness to the fact that the last inner freedom cannot be lost. It can be said they were worthy of their sufferings. The way they bore their suffering was a genuine inner achievement. It is this spiritual freedom which cannot be taken away that makes life meaningful and purposeful. Bear your burden. This is a tool. This is a roadmap for living. This will transform your life when you can just know that showing up in your life and the people's lives around you, when it's dark, when it's difficult, when there are shadows, when there's pain, when there's suffering, and just to be present, just to be patient, just to have compassion, hold space, be with them, and bear the burdens. Bear their burdens, bear your burdens, and live a life where you have the courage and the strength to bear the burdens. I will see you in the next video. Until then, live with meaning, purpose, and resilience.